Hello, I'm Pepe. I'm working on Empathy. I have been working here for 2 years. I develop solutions implementing AI models to improve the search, to create suggestions, and that kind of stuff. Today, we'll explain you how to develop an entire solution implementing LLM to search. We will create a solution where we use the LLM using the catalog of a store to create recommendations, but this is an example, okay? You will be able to use these LLMs to create whatever you want. You can use your creativity. This project is split in 3 parts. The data pipeline, where we will use the LLM. The backend service, where we use a simple API connected to Elasticsearch, a database where we will save our products of the catalog and also the suggestions that we will create with LLMs, and also the frontend. I will explain first the data pipeline. We have first the raw catalog, a JSON line file where we have all the fields that the product have. In the refining catalog, we only have fields that we consider that are relevant to create the recommendation, like the name of the product or the description. Once we have that refined catalog, we introduce that file into the main pipeline for the generation of the suggestions. At first, we batch that refined catalog into batches of like 20, 30, or even 50 products, because we have to take into account that the LLMs have a context window. This context window allows us to send the data, but we don't have the ability to send all the data all in once. So we have to split that catalog to allow the LLM process this data. Once we have that product on batches, we have here a prompt. This prompt allows us to set the rules that we want to indicate to the LLM. This will allow us to generate the suggestions, the queries, and whatever thing that you can imagine. This is the magic of LLMs and AI models. Once we have this prompt, this is a prompt template, we replace this thing that we have here, the product list, with the batches that we have processed before. Once we send that data to the LLM, we retrieve a structured output where we get and convert into a Python object that will allow us to save into a file that we will use them to generate the embeddings. The embeddings are like vectors that allow us to convert that data that is readable by a human to be understandable by an LLM or any AI model. And we use that embeddings to index that information into Elasticsearch. So this will allow us to retrieve the suggestions that are more similar to the user query. It's how we use the prompt template and send all that data to the LLM. We are using here a client that connects to our API, and this allows us, as you are seeing here, to create a config file where we have all the parameters. We have the IP key, we have the URL of the Empathy gateway for the LLMs, and also these parameters that configure how will be the response of that LLM. Also, we have here the batch size of the products and also the configuration to index that information to Elasticsearch. So once we have all this setting into the main pipeline, we configure that client, taking for the OpenAI library. It's so simple, so easy. And we can take the construct from batch function, where we replace the information inside this prompt with the product list. Okay, we are getting the name and the description of each product, and we introduce that entire product list into the prompt template. Once we have that, we only have to build the request and send to the LLM to obtain the response. So once we have that response, we parse that information to get the object that the LLM creates. And once we have that, we only have to group all that information and save it into a file. So once we have that file, create the embeddings, the information of all this suggestion. Okay, we convert all this information into the vectors, and we create an average embedding, okay, that is the sum of all these vectors divided by the number of queries that we have for that suggestion, and index into the Elasticsearch. After we have explained the entire data pipeline, We will explain now the backend service, how it works and how it takes the product catalogs and the suggestions to serve that information to the front. This is the backend service architecture. We have a startup phase where we take that catalog of products and we index in Elasticsearch. This will allow us to have all the data indexed into the database after the startup to get requests and send whatever query you want to obtain the suggestion and the products. Yeah, we have on one side the traditional keyword search, where we map the query to build a request to Elasticsearch and retrieve all the products that match with that query. In this case, we have the name field and the description field to match. And on the other side, for the suggestions, we will use a transformer model. This AI model will convert the user query into an embedding to obtain that similar suggestion to that query. We have here the welcome product finder. Okay, this is an entire front developed by only using LLMs. I don't have touched any frontend. I have developed in like 2 or 3 hours, so you can see the true potential of all these tools. Okay, so we have here the filtered products. We will, in this case, only center on the search. We can search here, for example, the query search. And as you can see here, this is the traditional search using only the keyword that match with the different products that we have on the catalog. And on the other side, we have the semantic search. The semantic search convert the query at the user type, in this case the query search, and convert into embeddings that allows the AI model retrieve those elements that are more similar to the query. As we can see here, I can click on the classic shows. You can see here the different products that we have. Also, I click on classic shows and all the suggestions are changing when I click on whatever query that we have on the search bar. We click on black pants, we can click on white shirt, we can click on, I don't know, whatever query that you want, and this query will be converted into embedding that retrieves all the suggestions that are similar to that. This is an entire process where you can take example of how you can use this LLM, but let your creativity to implement whatever you want. Take care of how you will the prompt, okay? Because this is, I think, a very important part for obtain quality results. And yeah, you can take this client that connect to the LLMs and implement it in any idea that you have. Okay, so that's all.